Hi everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout share for you. All of the layouts I'm going to show you were made using my Creative Scrapbook limited edition kits. I'm going to start with September of 2022 and then show you all the layouts I made up till this current month. There are process videos for most of these layouts, but not for all of them. I still have a lot of videos that I have filmed, but I haven't gotten the chance to complete them and get them up on my YouTube channel. And it's something that I'm going to be concentrating on in March. I decided that I'm not going to do any of my regular hops unless I've already made a layout for that hop. And I'm going to concentrate on getting those videos complete and have them available for you to watch on my channel. If you're not familiar with the My Creative Scrapbook limited edition kit, we get so many beautiful papers and dimensional flowers and things like stencils and stamps and embellishments in every kit. This first stack of layouts was made using the September 2022 kit. That kit featured some gorgeous papers and embellishments from 49 and Market. It was the Art Options, either Viken or Viken collection. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I love the color scheme in this particular collection. So for this layout, I used a pear tree cut file. Those are available to all My Creative Scrapbook subscribers. In the background, I have some sprays, and I use the dimensional flowers that we got. I also layered up some strips of paper, and I cut them into triangles, put them in the corners, and then I did some stitching on the cut file and on the corners as well. This layout, Dreamer, uses one of the beautiful 49 and Market papers in the background, and then I layered a number of flowers and leaves on top of that paper. I also used one of the larger frames in the kit, and then I layered some pattern paper and some punched out border strips on top of it, and then this smaller frame was just used as is, and then I also have some sentiments in the corner. For this layout, Memorable Days, I use this beautiful piece of blue pattern paper in the background. I use some embossing powder and a stencil, and I created this white script in the background, and then I used some of the embellishments to create clusters, some flower clusters. This large window I think is just so beautiful. Love this little bow, and I again used some sentiments and a title from the kit, and then I used some die cut letters for the rest of the title. For this layout, Lovely, I used this pattern paper again for the background. I used some of the small frames. I believe these were in the ephemera pack. I cut out a circle, and then I added to the florals that were already printed on the pattern paper with some die cut and fussy cut flowers and branches. And then once again down here, I have a number of sentiments. These layouts were created with the October 2022 kit. For this month, we got some beautiful papers and embellishments from the 49 and Market Art Options Alina collection, which was a gorgeous collection as well. I use a lot of older papers. I don't mind using things from 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even more. But I do like getting the limited edition kit because I like these types of papers, and I like to have some papers that are current and up to date, and this is a great example of a collection that I absolutely love. I loved the teal and orangey peach color scheme for this first layout, which is called Always Lovely. I used some strips of paper and I created a diagonal. I used one of the frames that was in the ephemera pack, and then a number of either fussy cut or laser cut or ephemera flowers and leaves, and I made some clusters on opposite sides, and then also some smaller clusters on this diagonal strip. I used a border punch and some pearls to finish off this diagonal strip, and then I also have some tags over my photo. For this layout beauty, I used another one of the frames that was in the kit. I have these beautiful pattern papers in the background. I love this large floral, but I didn't want to use the entire large floral in the background, so I also included this paper, which is also a pattern paper, but it looks like more of a solid. I have a number of the dimensional flowers on top of the frame. I have a little cluster down here using a very tiny frame and a butterfly, and then lots of sentiments down here, embellished with some butterflies, some florals up here, also embellished with a butterfly, and some tags on the side of the photo. This layout, Stormville, was made with one of the 49 and Market papers that has a circle of florals on it. It's a common motif in their collections. I absolutely love them. They make it very easy to make a layout. So I did some stitching around the lines that were on the page. I also did some stitching around the outside of the page, and then I layered up some small photos, and I layered on top of the pattern paper some fussy cut and die cut flowers, leaves, and butterflies. And I like to finish off my layouts with some pearls. For this layout, Sweetest Boy, I used this beautiful pattern paper that has all of these beautiful florals on top, but they left a lot of room at the bottom to create a cluster. So I used one of the frames that was in the kit, and I used a photo of my dog Jackson, who is the sweetest boy that I know. And then I used a whole bunch of flowers. Some of them are the dimensional flowers, some of them are ephemera pieces, and I created a cluster that kind of goes in a triangle, and then I have these vines flowing toward the right on the page. And then I also included this gorgeous butterfly and some smaller butterflies as well. Again, finished off with some pearls. For this layout moments, I again used one of the frames that we got in the ephemera pack, and these really, really pretty tiny flowers. I used some pearls on top of the flowers, and then I used some die cut leaves around the layout to further embellish the flowers, and then I die cut the title Moments out, and I used a couple of phrase stickers down here on the bottom. This next set of layouts was made using the November 2022 kit. In this kit, we got some beautiful papers and embellishments from the Prima Candy Cane Lane collection that was designed by Frank Garcia. This first layout, Fa La La, was made by using some mixed media in the background. I used some sprays and did some stamping. I also have some torn paper on both sides of my photos, some pattern paper, and some cardstock behind it. I have two main clusters. I have this flower cluster that's a little bit larger here. This one's a little bit smaller, using these gorgeous flowers that were in that month's kit. And then I have a few other embellishments, this tree, a candy cane. I love this little deer, a bow, a sentiment, and then of course my title. This layout, Christmas Traditions, was made with one of the pear tree cut files that was available to subscribers for this month. I did some stitching around the inside of the letters, and I backed it with some pattern paper. I have a large circle, which I put my photo on. I also used a banner on this layout, and then I again have a number of these beautiful flowers. I just love this pink one. And I use some pearls to embellish them, and also some glitter paste to make them a little more sparkly. And then I also love these beautiful peppermints. I love the addition of peppermints on Christmas layouts, and I put some pearls in the center of those. This layout, I believe, was again made using one of this month's My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I backed this cut file again with some pattern paper and also did some stitching. For the Santa hat, I used a little bit of felt just to give the appearance of it having that fuzzy look. And then I just love this reindeer right here. I gave him a bright red nose, And then I use a number of different embellishments behind the cut file, a whole bunch of fussy cut poinsettias, and also some of the flowers that we get in the kit. And then I also included some pine branches that I embossed. For this layout, Christmas Eve, I used one of the cut files and I created a shaker element going down the left side of the layout. I have a number of sequins on the inside of the shakers, and then I embellished the outside of the shakers with some of these iridescent dots. For the rest of the layout, I used a number of the ornament embellishments and then some more of those pine branches, another sentiment, and some ephemera pieces as well. I included some of the jewels that I put on the shakers on the right side of the layout as well. For this layout, Christmas at Home, I again used a cut file from my creative scrapbook. I backed it with some pattern papers and I did some stitching. Before I backed most of the letters with the pattern paper, I cut the pattern paper into strips, and then I used a punch. I made a scalloped edge on them, and then I layered the scalloped strips together to put behind the cut file. And then I used a number of fussy cut poinsettias. There was a whole sheet of poinsettias that I fussy cut out, and I used those on a lot of my layouts. They came in really handy. I love the sparkle on these poinsettias. I just think that they're so pretty. And then on the bottom of the layout, I have a number of the presents and the deer. This one was already printed on the pattern paper, and then this one I added in. I also used a Martha Stewart punch, and I punched out some holly leaves for this layout. Moving along to December of 2022, we received a lot of the papers and embellishments from the 49 and Market Holiday Wishes collection, and I absolutely love the 49 and Market Christmas collections, and I was really happy with this year's collection as well. It was really fun to work with. For this first layout, Christmas, very original title, I used a stencil and some embossing powder and some texture paste also in the background, and I just created these rays coming out of the oval photo. And then I have the flowers from the kit. I used some of the paper flowers and the dimensional flowers, and then I used a punch. I punched out a number of holly leaves, and I created some smaller clusters in addition to the larger cluster on the page. For this layout, Christmas Wishes, I combined a lot of the really cute ephemera pieces that I thought could create a scene. So I used the houses and these trees, the truck with the Christmas tree and the deer on the bottom of the layout. And then up here I have my two photos with the packaging, which was fussy cut out, and I tucked that behind the photos. The title, Christmas Wishes, is right in the center, and then I have a scalloped border up on top along with a little striped green strip of paper. And then I also added some stars to the top of the trees just to make it look a little more Christmassy. For this layout, 2019, I was kind of playing around with some dark backgrounds. I've been seeing them a lot lately and I wanted to give it a try. So I used the stencil from the kit and some embossing powder. And then I also used another stencil. This was from a past kit, again with the embossing powder, some sequins, and then these really pretty flowers. I like the way the white and the red showed up against the black, and then the gold as well. And then I just created a smaller cluster up here, a larger cluster going along the side of the photo, and then I embellished the title as well with some sequins and some die cuts and some punched out holly pieces. For this layout, It's a Wonderful Life, I cut out a piece of the pattern paper and I put it on just a little bit of an angle just to do something a little bit different. I put a punched out border along the edge of the pattern paper, and then I just created a really large cluster of poinsettias and ephemera pieces, tickets, again, a truck with a Christmas tree on it, and then I have a small cluster down here on the right-hand side and also on the opposite corner on the top of the layout. For this layout together, I used one of the 49 and Market papers that had a wreath already on the pattern paper, and then I used some die cut pieces and I popped them up just to give the wreath a little bit more dimension, and I also added some die cuts just to add another element to the wreath. I have my photo with a banner behind it, and then a number of little embellishments, including a small cluster up here in the left-hand corner with this really cute little cardinal and a lantern and some additional poinsettias around the photo. These layouts were made using the January 2023 kit. We received this 49 and Market collection called Serenity, and I happen to be a big fan of blue and white, so I really loved this kit. And we not only got papers from Serenity, there were other papers that matched so well combined with those papers. So I have quite a few layouts for this kit. I really loved working with it. This first layout is called Best Moment in Time. For this layout, I used some strips of paper. I inked the edges, and I have those going down, as you could see, the center of the paper. And then I use a number of the die cut leaves and the flowers to create two main clusters going in a diagonal on the layout. And then for the title, I embellished with a butterfly, and then I have this little key embellishment over here on the right. For this layout, the start of something amazing, I used one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files. I backed it with some pattern paper, but in this case, I used a dark color thread. I usually use white, but I really wanted the letters to pop, so I thought a dark color would be better. And then for these words that don't have inner cuts, I cut them out on my Silhouette Cameo using some of the pattern paper in the kit, and then I just slightly offset the words from the background so you could still see the white, and that would make it a little bit more readable. I have a large cluster over here with a number of tickets and other embellishments, and then I have some florals in a couple of other areas on the layout. And I use this long, thin frame to put a sentiment in, and then I finished off the layout with some pearls. For this layout, Loved, I used one of the pattern papers in the background and some modeling paste and some, I believe, white acrylic paint in the background, or maybe it was heavy gesso, just so that I could lighten up the area where the wreath with the photo in it was going to go. I used one of the rub-ons from the kit for the title, Loved, and then I used a number of the butterflies and the sentiments and then some buttons as well that were in the kit to embellish it further. For this layout today, I again used the rub-ons that were in the kit for the title. I love this beautiful frame. I couldn't wait to use that. So I have my photo in the frame, and then I have a number of the ephemera pieces and the laser cuts on either side. I also embellished with some butterflies. And then on the top of the layout, I have some more of the rub-ons. These are the smaller sentiments that were in that rub-on set. This layout is also called Today. I used one of the My Creative Scrapbook cut files, and it said Today Documented originally, but I cut the cut file a little bit too big, so I decided to just use the Today part for my title. I backed it with some pattern paper from the kit, and then I again stitched around the inside of the letters with some dark embroidery thread. I used a sunburst stencil in the background, and I have this large butterfly on top of the photo and then a number of smaller butterflies around the photo. And then I love these beautiful roses. I have a cluster on both sides of the title and then also a rose on the O and then a little butterfly on the A as well. This layout, You Make Today Magic, was made using one of the rub-ons for the title. I really had fun using rub-ons. I haven't used those in a while. And then I put a butterfly on top of it. I used this really cool house die cut, and then the dimensional flowers that we got in the kit, and a number of the laser cut leaves. I also used some die cut branches to bring a little white back into the layout. And then in the background, I have some sprays that I use the packaging technique to put down. These layouts were made using last month's kit, the February 2023 kit. For this kit, we got this Valentine's Day themed collection from Prima. It was called Love Notes, and it was again designed by Frank Garcia. He makes such beautiful, beautiful paper collections. For this layout, Love You More, I used a cut file. I stitched it again using some white embroidery thread this time, and I backed it with some of the pattern papers, and then also with some of the cards. We got some pocket cards in this kit as well. I have my photo in the heart that's in the center. For the other hearts, I layered up some scallops, and then I layered a number of embellishments on top of the cut file, including these 3 floral clusters. I used the beautiful Prima flowers, and then also some embossed gold leaves and some die cut little buds or berries. And this layout is called Love You More. For this layout, Cupid's Heart, I used some circles to create a diagonal composition. I have some strips of paper that I layered and I cut in circles, and I have those behind the photo along with some chipboard pieces and some ephemera pieces. And then I use the dimensional flowers on the corner, 2 of the corners of my photo, and I used some doilies behind 2 of the circles. I finished off the layout with some die cuts, and I put some tiny pearls on the die cuts to add a little bit more texture to the page. This layout, Sweet Love, was made with stitching on the outsides of each of these hearts, or many of the hearts, and you can see that I varied the color of thread depending on the color in the background. For some of the hearts, I used strips of adhesive pearls to go around those just to mix it up a little bit. I have this really beautiful swan in the middle and my title, Sweet Love, and then I have 2 main clusters, this one with the photo that's in a frame, and then there's another journaling card behind it, and then I layered up a number of tags, flowers, gold embossed die cut leaves, and also some of these same branches that are white that I think add a nice touch of white back into the layout. And then I just absolutely love this banner that's underneath the photo. For this layout, Love You, I made a mixed media background. I used some sprays, I used modeling paste and the stencil from the kit, and then on top of the background, I layered a whole bunch of rosettes that I made using the pattern papers. I put a number of different embellishments in the centers just to give them a little bit of interest, and then I have some of these gorgeous flowers that match in color perfectly with the layout on the left-hand side of the photo, and then I use some gold leaves to further embellish the layout. For the title, I used some thickers from a past kit, and then for this heart, I layered up some chipboard pieces and I put some pearl accents all around the page. These layouts are from the current kit, the March 2023 kit. In this kit, we got a 49 and Market collection called Countryside. I had a lot of cute photos to use with this collection. For this layout, I fussy cut out a number of sunflowers from some of the pattern papers, and also I used some leaves that were in the kit. I layered in a number of other embellishments, some tags, tickets. I have a bow here. I love this sign. And then the title, Country Garden, this was made using a thicker pack from a past kit. And then I also layered a sunflower to the right of it along with some leaves. And then I finished off the layout with some bees. For this layout, Love Every Moment, I again used one of the cut files. I backed these letters with some pattern paper and again stitched around the inside. And then for these words that don't have inner cuts, I used some texture paste to make them a little bit more interesting. And then I backed the whole cut file with an offset just so that the title would pop up off the page. I used a number of these gorgeous red dimensional flowers and then some of the sunflowers that were in the kit, and of course a whole bunch of butterflies as well. For this layout, Living My Best Life, I used a cut file, I did some stitching, I used some of these really pretty flowers, love that green color, and then I added some butterflies, and I put this laser cut of the chicken wire behind the ripped paper. And then finally, the last layout I have to share with you today is called On the Farm. For this layout, I used some strips of pattern paper. I inked the edges and made them into 2 large triangles. I have my 2 photos cut into circles, one for each of the triangles. I embellished the layout using some red and yellow flowers, did a tiny bit of mixed media in the background, and then I also loved these ducks, so I fussy cut these out from one of the pattern papers, and then these were embellishments that were in the kit, and then I wanted to have a little bit of red in all of the embellished areas of the layout, so I have some flowers on the ducks and some flowers on the title as well, and I used some dies to cut out the letters of the title, and I cut the letters out from some of the pattern paper that we got in the kit, and then I finished the layout off with a bow on this photo and a butterfly on this one, and I added just a couple of pearls. So that completes this layout chair. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed looking back through all of my Creative Scrapbook layouts. Now they're ready to put in the albums, and I have some room for some new layouts. If you are interested in the My Creative Scrapbook limited edition kit, or you're interested in checking out any of their other kits, you can take a look in the description box. There's a link to their website. I really love looking on their Instagram account. You can see all of the beautiful pages that the design team has created for all of the different kits. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you have a fantastic day. And once again, thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. I will see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.